Welcome to Newsmax TV. I'm Ashley Martella, and we're pleased to be joined via telephone by the senior senator from Oklahoma, James Inhofe. It's been a while since we've spoken. Welcome back to Newsmax, Senator.
Well, it's nice to be back with you, Ashley.
At the request of Barack Obama, President Bush is asking Congress to appropriate the second half of the $700 billion Wall Street bailout package known as the Troubled Asset Relief Program, or TARP. Senator Inhofe is very much opposed to that. Can you tell us why, sir?
Well, first of all, I was somewhat a leader in the opposition way back in October, in mid-October. That vote, I think history will treat that vote as the most outrageous vote in American history, where we, or I didn't, but 75% of the House and the Senate voted to give an unelected bureaucrat an unprecedented amount of money, the largest amount in American history, to actually be voted on at one time, with no strings attached, with no guidelines, with no oversight. Now, what has happened is the President Bush, has now said, I guess he called up Obama and said, what's your wish list? He's put that on, sent it to us. We've already introduced our resolution of disapproval. But I hate to say it this way, Ashley, but it's this thing is the resolution of disapproval may well pass. I think it'll pass the House, and it could pass the Senate. Although I think Harry Reid would not even allow a vote on it, just to save the embarrassment by the new President Obama, because all he has to do is veto the resolution of disapproval, and then it's down to 34 people sustaining the veto, which definitely are there. So it's a fait accompli. It is done. We're going to have another $350 billion to add to the first $350 billion. And I think there are a lot of smart economists that said that nothing really good happened with the first $350 billion.
Senator, wasn't Secretary Paulson supposed to account for the way he spent the money?
Well, yeah, he's supposed to account for it. No, but even worse than that, he said he promised how it was going to be spent. He was going to buy damaged assets. Remember that? And I was in on the meetings where he actually promised that was what he's going to do. 15 minutes after he got his hands on the money, he forgot all about that and never bought any damaged assets. Instead, bailed out various banks. Now, a lot of Republicans are saying, well, that money's not gone. He bought preferred stock and it's going to be paid back with interest. Well, that'd be awfully nice, but I don't think that's going to happen.
A president with a very liberal voting record is about to take office to join a very liberal Congress. Does that trigger any alarms with you about fiscal responsibility?
Well, it really does. Again, getting back to the $700 billion vote, to me that kind of shifted everyone's focus so that they forgot what real money is. And now we're talking about, well, let me put it in this way, if you'd allow me to do this. Bush has been criticized, and I've criticized him on some of the deficits during the 8 years he's been president. If you add up all the deficits and divide by 8, it comes up to $247 billion. Now we have a guy who's going to be president who is talking about somewhere between $1.2 and $1.8 trillion just in 1 year. So let's just look at those two and try to get a comparison. Secondly, and I think this is very important because most of the people listening to us now are like I am and you are. It's hard to get your arms around these huge figures. $700 billion needs to be discussed with looking at how many families there are in America that file tax returns and doing your math, dividing that into $700 billion. This works out $5,000 a family. Now, we're talking about people who are listening to us right now. That's how significant it is. Well, if that's significant, what about the $1.2 trillion? That's why I have to answer your question. I'm scared to death. I've got 20 kids and grandkids. It's going to be their problem, not my problem, but I'm supposed to be doing something to make that problem easier.
Your conservative Republican colleague, Tom Coburn, was just shot down in his attempt to filibuster a sweeping land conservation package. Now, 11 Republicans joined the Democrats to end the filibuster. Is that any indication that Republican senators may acquiesce to liberal legislation this term?
Oh, I think a lot of them are that way. A lot of them are natural. We have some Republicans that are pretty moderate and moderate to liberal. And there's going to be a propensity to join in on a majority where you can be a part of making things happen, even if what you're making happen is bad. So I'm afraid my answer to your question is the problem is there.
Obama is apparently intent on closing the prison at Guantanamo Bay by executive order. What do you say to that, Senator?
Well, it's outrageous. I've been down there probably more than anybody else has in looking at the situation. I remember when this first came up, they were not torturing down there. They were interrogating, but let's keep in mind, the ones that were down there, they were terrorists. They're people who had, many of them killed Americans. and we need to get that human intelligence from these individuals. And actually, when I was down there, I have yet to be down there where the prisoners weren't treated better in terms of living conditions than our own troops. I think we need it, and I wish that Obama, when he's talking about closing Guantanamo, would say, all right, where are we going to put those people?
Senator Inhofe, we know the Senate's a much lonelier place for you and the other Republicans nowadays, but to keep up the good fight, always a pleasure to speak with you.
We would do it, Ashley.
And thank you for watching Newsmax TV.
Thank you.